Thanks for coming to the demo of ADAP What If tool here. So initially, we need to log in the system by using your own user email and password. And if we take a look at the left side, this is the main menu. Project, suitability, demand, allocation, and uploading shapefile. Uploading shapefile is the first step to use this What If tool. And before doing that, the users are required to prepare their own shapefile for case studies. The specific requirement of shapefile as well as data processing procedure can be found in our user manual. Afterwards, please click the button and upload it here. Since we have already uploaded our demo dataset, we come to the projection component and create a new project here. So let's name it as Ipswich demo, and please make sure you have selected the dataset that was created based on your own case study. And if we click next step, here we need to specify some of the fields in the shapefile. For the land use type, we choose category, which identifies the category of each record in your shapefile. Similarly, the geographical unit is the area of each record in the unit of square kilometers. Projection period is the gap between two projection years, and we set it as 5 here. Namely, we will produce the projection result in every 5 years. And the number of projections is how many projection results are you looking for. We set it as 3. Finally, the baseline year is the latest historical archive in the shapefile, which is 2021 for our Ipswich case study. Afterwards, you click Next, review all the information here, and if they are correct, please click Submit to create a new project as it's shown here. Afterwards, we will also be required to input the historical population of our case study, which will be used for the estimation of future population and land use demand in the following. So here we input the historical population of Ipswich City in 2021, 2016, and 2011 separately. Since our current case study focuses on the residential land use demand and allocation, we just skip the second part. Review all the information and click Submit. As you can see in the pop-up window, the projected population of our case study in the projection years are shown here, under the assumption of linear growth trend. So afterwards, we come to the suitability component. The suitability scenario in this component identifies the overall suitability for land use conversion from specific categories to our target categories. So here we give it a name, suitability demo, and also please make sure you have chosen the project that was created just now. So for our own case study, there are mainly 2 kinds of residential land, high density and low density, which are referring to the density of private dwellings. So we just double check if these land use names are correct. Click done, comes to the next step. In this part, you will specify which of the existing land use categories can be converted to high density and low density residential in the future. For our case study, we have selected industrial, other, and primary production. And please click next step. In the third step of suitability scenario, users are required to identify the suitability driving factors as well as the corresponding weights. So for our Ipswich case study, there are mainly 9 driving factors: the distance to activity center, to primary school, to railway stations, to existing residential land, to shopping centers, to the main roads, as well as to protected area, fire hazard zone, and flood zone. And the users can take advantage of these slide bars to set the weights of each driving factor for each kind of land use categories we are looking for. Generally speaking, the higher the weight is, the more important the suitability driving factor will be. So you can also specify the weights for your own case study based on historical archives or assumptions for specific scenarios in the future. For the main road, we believe that it is relatively important for low density residential than high density. So we set it as 20 and 50 here. And let's finish the remaining ones. Okay, so we have managed to select all the driving factors and set the corresponding weights one by one. If they are in accordance with your expectation, please click next step, review all the summary information here, and submit the scenario for suitability evaluation. We can see it appears here. And if we click the view, the maps here are indicating the overall suitability for high density residential and low density residential in the future. You can also come back to the created suitability scenario, adjust the specific weights, submit it again, and then the suitability map will be changed accordingly. With the completion of suitability scenario, the following step is to create the demand scenario, which identifies the specific land use demand in each of the projection years. And once again, please make sure you have chosen the same project that was created before. And we call it demand demo. So the number of baseline year dwellings is referring to the total number of private dwellings in the year 2021. And also the users are required to input the future average household and the vacancy rate in each of the projection years. So we have finished, click next step. For this part, please specify the breakdown rate of both high density residential and the low density residential. Please also make sure that the sum of breakdown rate is equal to 1. In the third step of demand scenario, you are also required to input the infill rate and the proposed housing density of these future land uses one by one. So we have finished the ones for high density residential. Click Save, and then comes to the ones for the low density residential. Click Save again, done with the density factor, and then comes to the final step. So all of these parameters are applied for the estimation of future land use demand for both high and low density residential areas. So if we click the Submit button here, we can view that there will be an additional of 3.14 square kilometers of high density residential in the year of 2026. So these estimations are based on the equations Chris mentioned in his slides. Okay, so now we have finished the majority of scenario planning for one case study. And here we need to create another allocation scenario with the combination of previous scenarios as a whole. So choose definitely the same project, and we name the allocation scenario as allocation demo. So here we will also choose the suitability and the demand scenarios that were created just now. Click next step. So for the infrastructure control and the group pattern fields, they identify the limitation and priority area of future land use allocation separately. For the infrastructure control field, we will use the one called within fire hazard zone. Namely, any parcel or mesh blocks within the fire hazard zone will not be allocated for future residential development, regardless of their overall suitability. On the other hand, for parcels or mesh blocks which are located within 1,600 meters of railway stations, they will be allocated for future residential development in priority. Afterwards, we also need to specify the priority of suitability and the demand. Review all the information here and click Submit. So this is the last step of one scenario planning case study. Afterwards, we can see the proposed locations of parcels and mesh blocks for the future residential in 2026, 2031, and 2036 respectively. You can also have it compared with the baseline year allocation, namely the overall land use map in the year of 2021. So this is the last stage of the demo part. And